The press labeled us, you know, women's lib. And I thought it was funny. I didn't even think about it. All I knew is that I didn't feel tennis was right.
Billie Jean King, world tennis champion, and leader of a special brand of female revolutionaries. During a tournament in Denver, Colorado, she sits under the trees with 40 other professional tennis players. They run their own circuit, proving in a male-dominated sport that even in a frilly tennis dress, ladies can be liberated, especially when backed by $500,000 worth of sponsorship money.
Now that tournament will still be held, but it cannot be for $100,000. We're hoping it will be for $65,000. It'll certainly be the biggest we've ever played in.
The group hire Pip Jones as tour director, for they are a cooperative venture, owned, directed and organized by the world's top women stars. They settle their business at meetings like these throughout the country. And unknown junior players argue with stars like Billie Jean King, Nancy Gunter, and Julie Heldman. The group was formed because women have for decades been exploited as the poor relations of tennis.
Ray?
Yes, Julie.
Listen, you know this 10-minute intermission that you said the girls weren't going to have? Listen, I really think we've got to have it. It's just...
Julie Heldman is the spokesman or shop steward for the girls. She is a Stanford history graduate and a very tough negotiator.
Don't tell me the women did not hold up all of Forest Hills last year, and yet this year women are still getting a half to 1/3 of the prize money of the men at Forest Hills, and they're drawing the crowds. Before 1970, when the tour started, in order to play a tennis tournament, you had to go and write a letter or beg a tournament official to give you money in order to play, sums of $150 to $400, so that you would appear. And if you had a shapelier body or a wilder sex life, they would certainly accept you faster than if you had a strong forehand.
Now, what do you mean by that? Do you mean that there was bribery and people indulging in immorality to get into tournaments in those days?
Yes, I mean it.
Presiding over this collection of sporting suffragettes is a Birmingham suburban couple. Pip and Ann Jones travel everywhere with their baby. Anne was, of course, Britain's greatest woman tennis player and Wimbledon champion in 1969.
What's an ex-Wimbledon champion and a suburban middle-class housewife doing in the middle of a circus like this?
Well, actually, nothing. Pippa and I are following around my husband, who is tour director of the tennis circuit over here.
And how long is this going to go on for?
Oh, about another 2 months yet.
Do you have to live out of a suitcase virtually from hotel to hotel?
Yes, we do, which is, of course, quite difficult. It was hard enough travelling around with all one's tennis clothes, but by the time you packed a high chair for her and a stroller, a pushchair and everything, it's quite hard work, but it's only once a week, and by and large we get used to it. After all, there's no housework to do, no cooking to do, so there's that, and I enjoy being part of the tennis scene. All my friends are in it. Spent long enough playing, so, you know, it's, in many ways for me, it's very enjoyable.
Well, can we turn to your husband, Pip Jones, who is the director of the women's tour? What's so unique and important about this tour, Pip?
About the women's tour?
Yes.
The fact that it's proving to the world what Gladys Heldman knew to be true, that women's tennis on its own, without men cluttering up the landscape, is an interesting and a profitable proposition.
But don't more people want to watch men's tennis?
I think possibly they do, and that's up to them, but we find that many people want to watch women, and that's all we're interested in. We would like to have played along with the men, but the men got the idea that they were the only ones who mattered, and they literally forced the girls to go off on their own to play their own tournaments.
Because the competition's so high, you know, you're playing with good players all the time, therefore you must improve.
How good have you become in terms of where you were last year and where you are now?
I've played a lot of tennis. I think I'm at least 15 a game better.
And do you recommend any young girl, supposing there was a young girl back at home wherever you come from?
I'd recommend anyone to come out here because the practice facilities are good, the competition's good. If you're capable of improving, I think this is the place to come.
Corinne must now pack her bags and follow the circuit 2,000 miles to the next tournament at Newport, Rhode Island. But first, she picks up her week's prize money, $125.
Check for $125, which isn't bad for one day's work.
She just about breaks even on the week. I asked her how she fitted into this militant group of women.
I enjoy being part of the group. I think we have to stick together. But I think I'll leave the politics to, you know, the people that know a bit more about it than me.
Yes, I see. Now, where do you stay when you come to these tournaments?
We usually put up in homes.
What sort of a
Nearly
place are you staying in this time yourself?
Oh, a fabulous home. Fantastic. It's like a mansion. You know, the people are fantastic. They've been very kind and friendly. Just taken me into the home. I feel like one of the family.
For Corinne, the American tour is a new and fresh experience. For in every town, local bigwigs jostle each other to have the tennis stars as lodgers. Corinne becomes, for one magical week, the adopted daughter of a millionaire. He even provides her with a private tennis club to practice in. Corinne is polite enough to play with the family, but then this is her first wide-eyed trip to the United States. The girls have other social obligations. Their prize money comes from sponsors who usually like to show off their expensive performers, and this means a round of cocktail parties and social engagements. It's great fun for the juniors, who don't expect to win, but for the established stars, it can be a hardening experience, making them cynical or even world-weary.
I think it's about time I quit.
Why do you think that?
Oh, I think tennis is a good life, but I don't think it will be a part of my whole life, and I think it's about time I make some other steps.
What's, for example, what? Get married, you think?
I think so, yeah.
But what's it like to be, if you'll forgive the expression, a spinster on the tennis tour?
It can be really difficult, you know, because you're traveling so much. You're 1 week after 1 week somewhere, and if you meet somebody nice, you can never see it again, or, you know, it will be very difficult. So I think it's a very difficult social life on the tour.
Somebody was telling me that you usually swear in the same language of the umpire speaks. Is this true?
No, sometimes, you know, by example, in France, I will swear in English, and when I'm in here, I will swear in French, so nobody will understand what I'm saying. I think that's the best way to do it, really.
Ken? Yeah, I won today. Yeah. Well, pretty well. I won 6-1, 6-1.
No one could be a tougher professional than Nancy Ritchie Gunter. She is now 30 years old and has played for 5 hours a day since she was 10. She lives in hotel rooms and calls her husband in San Angelo, Texas, twice a day. Whenever she loses, she takes the next plane home.
Tennis really comes not first, but equal to, say, my marriage.
How long will that last? 30, 40? The tennis, I mean. The marriage.
I don't know on either one, really. No, probably another 4 or 5 years.
Really? As long as you're going to play till you're 34,
I would like to,
35?
yeah.
Now, you've voluntarily decided not to have a family.
Yes.
Could you just tell us about that?
Well, I've led a regimented life for 20 years, and I mean really regimented. My time has really not been mine at all for 20 years. And I feel that I don't really want to be tied down for another 20 after I quit playing tennis. I want to be able to do what I want to, you know, if I want to take a vacation, or if I, no matter what it is, I don't want to be tied to a home with children.
You could have had a family now and a pretty home with a white fence around it and, you know, barbecue on the porch and things.
Fortunately, I have a husband who feels that, you know, it's more or less a gift to have the talent to be at the top in whatever field it may be. And I think, you know, Larry likes the idea that I'm a free thinker. He enjoys that. He likes to see people with spirit who are willing to go out and do what they feel is right in their own minds. And, you know, I know Larry knows that I love tennis very much. As far as a family, you know, I think there's still time for a family. Larry is like, you know, he's 27 years old. He's not 35. I think if you were 35, I would be more apt to say, oh, you know, we should have a family right now. And Larry's had a lot of things he's wanted to get done in his career.
How much longer are you going to keep all this up? And how much longer are you going to go on?
To be honest with you, I thought I would have quit by now. But fortunately, we did get into a situation where some of my other dreams for the sport of tennis have come true.
The Women's Lib Tour could never have started were it not for one American company. The Philip Morris Group manufactures Virginia Slim cigarettes, a product aimed at the liberated woman. The suppressed creature of former days, refused permission to smoke by a male chauvinist world, is transformed into a groovy chick, complete with dangling cigarette and the slogan, "You've come a long way, baby." It's an irony of commercial life that few of the tennis stars actually smoke, yet depend upon cigarettes for prize money. They are goddesses to the young players, especially Billie Jean King. Come along to the courts any morning at 8 a.m. and you will find the old lady, as they call her, teaching a group of aspiring champions her own route to success.
What's her question, I think, is for some more time. Did you stuck with it?
That topspin is good, that last one, because you really hit through it. But most of yours kind of go like this, blue. There's nothing better for a human being to be able to get paid for playing the sport well. We are entertainers, we are performers, and I think a lot of the girls have changed for the better, and that they have a lot more personal pride in their personality. They feel, I've done it. I didn't have to ask mom and dad for the money. I didn't have to ask a group for the money. I did it because I played well. I earned that money.